You start talking about the returning players. It looks like the Spartans are going to be led by the trio of juniors, of course, forward Nick Ward and the backcourt duo Cassius Winston, Joshua Langford. All three had their ups and downs last year, especially Ward, who has this sort of love-hate relationship with Coach Izzo's doghouse. He still averaged 12 points per game, 7 rebounds per game. Winston led the Big Ten in three-point percentage, basically 50% from three-point range. He was amazing. Also led the conference in assists at 6.9. Langford shot 40% from beyond the arc, but maybe needs a little more efficiency with his shot selection, only 42% from the field. These guys are not your typical alpha leaders per se. As a group, as a collective group, they're strong. But I would think as a group, they're going to lead with their experience, their all-around ability, and their will to win, right?
That's interesting you say that, because I do think that there is some alpha tendencies in them. The problem is when you have bigger dogs like Bridges and Jackson, those alpha tendencies kind of get pushed aside and you have to be more of a role player. I think Langford in particular is a guy who has been a vocal leader of that group, maybe even more so than Bridges in that class that they had with those guys. But, he's got to be able to consistently hit his shot. He's got to be able to take the ball to the rim and not settle. He loves the mid-range game, but he also falls in love with it, and the outside shot maybe a little too much. He needs to be more of a slasher. Like, his idol is Kobe Bryant, but he needs to play a little more like that, maybe. Play a little bit more feisty and attack guys off the bounce. And Winston, I do think, also has that ability to lead. He's not one of the captains. Langford and Matt McQuaid are captains, but Cassius Winston was kind of the de facto spokesman of that whole program. And he's a smart guy. He's obviously got the handle to play the point. He's got the outside shooting ability, which I think surprised everybody, including Tom Izzo, how good of an outside shooter he is. He's another one that has to go north and south a little more, has to get the ball to the rim, get in the paint. That'll accentuate those assist numbers. He's got to be a creator more so than just simply a facilitator and a receiver of passes to score. And Nick Ward, there's a lot of talent in that guy. I think he's got such an ability to score around the basket, great hands, good footwork. Tested the NBA draft process and heard a lot of different things. You need to have an outside game. You need to work on your defense and maybe a little more on that lateral quickness. If Nick Ward can make that jump, he doesn't have to be the leader. That's one thing. I think, Nick Ward doesn't have to lead simply by voice. He's a guy that can lead by example, and listening to Tom Izzo and embracing the teachings of Tom Izzo, kind of like what some of the guys in the past, like a Derek Nix or guys, even Morris Peterson all the way back, had a learning curve to where he started to embrace Izzo's teaching and philosophies. And if Nick Ward can do that, really the sky's the limit for him.